I wanted to go into, at this point, the qualification process. So I know we've got this income test and an asset test. I want to start with the income test. Obviously a state has an income limit, and then, the most common scenario, obviously, that you require planning for there is just simply somebody that makes a little bit more money than whatever the monthly limit is. Can you walk me through, that process and how that works, and what do you do if you're in that boat?
Sure. And states deal with this differently as well. So there are states where it's a hard cap on income, and other states deal with it differently. In Pennsylvania, generally the person who is going into a skilled nursing facility on Medicaid may have as much income as they can have up to the cost of care. As you might imagine, that's pretty rare that somebody would have income of, $10, $12, $14,000 a month. So most of the time, that's not a problem. Their level of income is whatever their level of income is. And it's much more a concern about how much are your assets. So how much do you have sitting in bank accounts? How much is your, investments, retirement accounts, and things like that. And we can talk about the assets separately, but any Medicaid planning situation deals with income and assets. And as far as the income goes, the person in care, they can't have more than the cost of care. If there's a spouse, let's say a healthy spouse staying at home while the other spouse goes into a nursing home, that person can technically have as much income as they want. So there's no ceiling on the community spouse, as we call them, on their income, but there is a floor. And this is a matter of federal law. So it's called the MIMNA. You'll hear that term with elder law attorneys, and it stands for the monthly maintenance allowance, monthly maintenance needs allowance. And so what that means is the caveat on having, income for the person going into care is that their income goes to the nursing facility, and then Medicaid picks up the rest up to whatever it costs for that person every month. So if, let's say they have a pension or Social Security, so it totals about $1,800 or $2,000 a month. That's the person going into care. That goes to the nursing facility, and then the thousands of dollars above that every month is covered by Medicaid. Meanwhile, the person who's in the community, the spouse in the community, if you look at their income, mainly because our lawmakers don't want, let's say, the breadwinner to go into a nursing facility and then have the spouse at home be impoverished simply because their spouse needed long-term care. So what you do is you look and you say, well, how high or low is that person's income? And if it's low, then the MIMNA means that instead of transferring the spouse going into care, their income to the facility, you transfer it over to the spouse to keep them at least a minimum level so that they can get by. So that's sort of the high points of what we talk about when we talk about income, whether there's a MIMNA going to the spouse who's in the community, how much of it is going to the nursing facility as opposed to that spouse, and so forth.